Hello, it's me. Welcome. It's December. I'm here. Can you believe it's the last month of the year? Because I can't. Anyway, it's like December and I'm like, oh, let me just, and it's raining outside here right now. And in fact, I'm wearing rain boots. And I'm like, I know, let me just wear a sleeveless shirt with sunglasses on my head because that's very wintry. No, but it's actually raining out here today, and I'm looking at my rain boots and I'm realizing that there's holes in them and they're probably not very efficient at doing their job anymore. And I should probably buy a new pair. But anyway, I'm Sarah Baxley, if we haven't met. Welcome to Pinky the Bear, my channel. I am here with your astrology forecast for the month of December. 2019 for one more month. Anyway, our two upcoming themes for the month of December are number 1, wrapping it up, and number 2, Eclipsemas. Okay, so the themes of the month are wrapping it up and Eclipsemas. So one of the most important things for us to note about this month is that both the month of December of this year as well as January 2020, these 2 months are sort of marking the end of a really significant chapter in our lives. So in December 2017, so 2 years ago, we had the planet Saturn enter the sign of Capricorn. Now, Saturn's sole job is to establish boundaries. If all of the planets of the zodiac were to go to a party, Saturn would be the designated driver. I use that analogy all the time, but I love it. So basically Saturn is all about sort of being responsible and like doing what's right and planning for the future and putting in the work for the long term. But it's very much about sort of suiting up and showing up. And when we had Saturn enter Capricorn in December of 2017, it sort of began a chapter for us where we really sort of began to see like the cracks in the road, or basically the parts of the structure of our lives that were not necessarily sustainable for the long term. And it's also possible that just certain things have been removed from our life over like the course of the last 2 years as well in order to build a more firm, secure foundation. So sometimes those changes are made in accordance with our will and sometimes they're not. So there's that, but it's really important to note. So I put the first theme as wrapping it up because both this month and next month, though there's still going to be a little bit of a trickle of it at certain parts of next year, this month and next month are really, really crucial turning points to essentially the lessons that we started in December of 2017. So, so I just wanted to sort of throw that out there. And, you know, as a lot of you know, if you watch like a lot of my videos, you know, any astrologer can look at the calendar, not the Gregorian calendar, but the astrological calendar for the year. And well, actually, and just to see, I mean, it's not just the Gregorian calendar, but it's to look at, you know, the new moons and full moons and essentially when we have solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. In astrology, those are extremely significant and we have them every year. Granted, they're at different placements and different numbers and Saros cycles and all of that kind of stuff, but the placements of those is really, really significant. And we know as astrologers that anytime there is an eclipse, there tends to be a very pivotal turning of events that happen. So eclipses are really important, and a lot of times eclipses, it depends on the type of eclipse, but eclipses tend to be more event-based. They tend to bring about change in our lives, noticeable change, especially if the degrees of the eclipse are tied up within crucial points of your specific natal chart. especially like the sun, moon, or any of the angles that are in your chart. So eclipses are kind of a big deal. So even when maybe an eclipse isn't necessarily hitting our chart specifically, it tends to generally affect a large group of people, right? And eclipses often can be about sort of endings, right? Sort of like a closing of a chapter in some type of way. Now, the endings don't necessarily have to be bad. The event-based things don't necessarily have to be dramatic, but there usually is some type of ending or parting of ways in some type of, in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes that can be an idea, sometimes that could be a routine, sometimes that can be a tradition, sometimes that can be a person. Like, it really, really depends. And so anyway, long story short, we began this chapter a couple years ago in December 2017, and a lot of events have happened over the course of those last 2 years that have really brought about a lot of really significant structural changes to a lot of people's lives. So here we are, almost on the other end. No. But okay, so then that brings me into theme number 2 this month, which is ECLIPSEMAS. Okay, and I totally know that not everybody celebrates Christmas. So I wanted to throw that out there, because I respect it all. I myself am not, I tend to be I worked retail a big chunk of my life, so I always tend to be a little bit more bah humbug around the holidays, because I just think of work. But this year I've been a little bit more in the spirit. Sorry, totally side tangent. But you know, it's interesting because basically, so to have an eclipse on a major holiday, it doesn't matter, it could be, you know, 4th of July, it could be whatever. Just to have an eclipse on a major holiday seems like it would be something that would bear a little bit more significance, especially a lot of people are with their families on the holidays. A lot of people are traveling like around that time and stuff like that. So there's definitely a key component to the holidays this year. If you do celebrate Christmas, or if you are at least going to be with, maybe you don't celebrate Christmas, but you'll be with family, or maybe you have some type of activity going on that day. A lot of people are off work. Just know that it's possible that there could be a little bit more added significance to the holiday this year than there has been in previous years. So, you know, and it's also possible that it might have something to do with, you know, a theme that started in December 2017 that now is sort of coming around. So that's just something to sort of keep in mind. So we have a solar eclipse that's on December 25th. And then when we enter into January, so it's funny because we have you know, Happy New Year, like all of that stuff on January 1st. But it's funny, it's like for me, so we have a major lunar eclipse that happens also on the 10th of January. And then we have a really big configuration that happens just a couple days later, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So there's just something that's really potent, I'd say pretty much between Christmas and probably even through generally like the end of January of 2020. It's just a really potent time. I think that we'll see even more sort of like major changes and stuff like in our lives, in the world around us, things like that. Okay, so I know what I started to say. So I was saying is that, so we all like talk about like how New Year's is, you know, like, the beginning of the year, like whatever. And I kind of almost think like, okay, well, once like this eclipse season is over, like on like the 10th, or I mean technically it's like on the 10th, but you know, you gotta give it a couple weeks to wind down. I'm like, okay, so let's like maybe talk about February 1st as being the first of the year. No, but it is, I mean, it is a very potent way to start out the year, and I'll talk more about it in my video for January, but I just wanted to sort of like give you a little bit of a taste. So definitely just be really kind to yourself this month. You know, we're definitely more down to business. The planet Jupiter recently entered Capricorn a few days ago, which is a really big, significant change. It's basically adding more to the theme of the seriousness and the responsibility and the healing that sort of needs to go around those types of structural changes in our life. Maybe we've been sort of trying to adapt to some of those changes, I think that having Jupiter there, it's just going to highlight even more for us what is working in our lives and what is not, like what needs to be essentially cut out, you know, and what's not sustainable for the long term. So essentially, just to wrap it up, I mean, I think that wrap it up. Sorry, I'm laughing at my own stupid joke because that was one of the themes for this month. Anyway, then my hair got stuck in my armpit. That's very cute. Anyway, I think that the most important thing is just to give yourself some extra love and support, you know, and just some understanding around this time. So anyway, I hope that that any of the information was useful to you, and I very much appreciate your support, and I appreciate you tuning in. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you hit that little bell, ding-a-ling-ling, it will let you know when I post videos too. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna go now. I'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.